As the busyness of the outside world begins to recede, a long day prepares to lower its final curtain, yielding to the gentle return of stillness. Just as the deep blue mists slowly wrap around the magnificent peaks of the Alborz Mountains, your mind at this very moment deserves to welcome a soothing lull, letting go of all agitations to rest its head against the sanctuary of the dark. Have you ever noticed that all living things around us always find a way back to their peaceful havens as the night falls, without a single hint of haste, without a single trace of hesitation? Tonight, our journey will guide your soul to a remote highland, where time seems to stand still beside thousand-year-old thatched roofs, where the shepherd's flute blends with the whispering drizzle to cradle every gentle sleep. But before we begin that journey, allow yourself to be completely free, to shed every burden of today, and to prepare a truly comfortable space just for you. If you find yourself loving these peaceful interludes that we create together each night, please take a brief moment to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and share this video with your loved ones. Your companionship is the warm energy that keeps me lighting these lamps of peace, guiding us into complete and restful sleep every evening. Now, everything for today has been completed as beautifully as it possibly could be. There is nothing left for you to think about, no pressure that requires your immediate attention. Leave it all behind, outside your door. Now, gently find a truly comfortable position on your familiar bed. You can lie on your back, arms resting naturally along your sides, or turn onto one side if that posture brings you the greatest ease. Readjust your pillow, settle your blanket, so that your body is enveloped in a perfect, cozy warmth. Softly close your eyes. Let your eyes rest after a long day of exposure to harsh light and rushing images. As your eyelids close, the outside world fades away, leaving only you within this safe, quiet space. Let us begin by gently turning your attention to your breathing. You do not need to alter your breath, nor do you need to breathe too forcefully or too deeply. Just let it flow as naturally as possible. Feel the cool, fresh air gently entering through your nostrils, filling your chest, and then slowly carrying a soft warmth back out. Imagine that each inhalation brings the crisp, pristine freshness of a windswept highland, and each exhalation releases the tension and fatigue still lingering within your muscles. Bring your focus to the crown of your head. Feel the skin of your scalp completely relaxing. This relaxation begins to drift down onto your forehead, smoothing away the creases of worry. The muscles around your eyes loosen, becoming light as air. Your cheeks, your mouth, and your jaw no longer hold any tightness. Slightly part your lips to release all tension from your jaw. The soothing sensation continues to pour down into your neck, spreading across your shoulders. Your shoulders, which carried so much pressure during the day, are now sinking deep into the mattress, light and completely at ease. The warmth and relaxation travel along both arms, passing through your elbows, your wrists, and into each fingertip. You might feel a warm, tingling energy, like the last rays of the sun gently caressing your fingers. Continue to breathe in softly and breathe out slowly. Guide your attention down to your chest and abdomen. Feel the gentle, rhythmic rise and fall with every breath. Your abdomen relaxes completely, free of all tightness. The tranquility radiates to your back, coursing down each vertebra, soothing your lower back and bringing a sense of absolute relief. Now, let the relaxation flow down to your hips, thighs, knees, and calves. Your legs, which have supported you across so many paths today, now deserve to rest fully. The relaxation flows down to your ankles, the soles of your feet, and rests at the tips of your toes. Your entire body at this moment is like a floating cloud, weightless, sinking deeper and deeper into the softness of your bed. You are protected. You are sheltered within a space of complete safety and silence. In this state of absolute surrender, you begin to perceive a cool breeze, carrying the tender moisture of mountain mist, gently brushing against your skin. The air around you is no longer dry. It has become soft, heavy, with the pure moisture of a land bordering the vast sea. Lingering softly in the air is the rustic scent of damp earth after rain, the scent of ancient pine needles from the great forest, and the crisp green fragrance of fresh tea leaves. These scents of nature act as a slow-release balm, soothing your nervous system and bringing a wonderful, serene comfort. You hear the faint, delicate sounds of nature arising from a great distance, the rustle of endless green tea hills as night dew falls upon the leaves, the murmur of the forest as the mountain wind sweeps through, and somewhere the steady, rhythmic pitter-patter of a seasonal drizzle. None of these sounds distract you. Instead, they create a steady, harmonious rhythm like a wordless lullaby, guiding your mind away from the busy present to step into a world of absolute leisure. You feel completely ready to entirely let go of the world outside, ready to listen to a peaceful story, and ready to drift into a deep, serene sleep. Now that your mind is completely at ease and your body has sunk deep into the plush comfort of your bed, let your imagination gently lead you away from the present, crossing spans of space and time to set foot in an ancient, enchanted land. This is the Gilan highlands, a tranquil strip of earth nestled against the Grand Alborz mountain range and bordering the windswept Caspian Sea. Picture yourself standing at a place so high that the clouds can nestle directly into the palm of your hand, a vast space, yet incredibly pristine and silent. At this hour, the final streaks of daylight are receding behind the majestic Alborz range. The towering peaks, shrouded in clouds year-round, are dyed in a faint orange gold before fading into the deep purple hues of twilight. As the sun dips beneath the horizon, the entire Gilan highland begins to don its signature mantle of deep blue mist. This mist is not freezing cold, but carries the gentle, soft chill of a humid, subtropical climate. The fog drifts slowly down from the high peaks, gliding over the emerald green tea hills that stretch endlessly to the horizon. As the mist passes, it rustles the morning dew, still clinging to the edges of the leaves, creating a whisper of movement, as if nature itself were exhaling a long sigh of relief after a sun-filled day. The space around you is saturated with the purest, most rustic sense of the earth and sky. You can distinctly perceive the smell of damp earth. After a day steeped in dew, the crisp, green fragrance of fresh tea leaves awakened by the night chill, blending with the warm, comforting scent of old pine needles from the nearby grand forest. This fragrance is not overwhelming, but drifts softly, enveloping your senses, making each of your breaths deeper, lighter, and cleaner. Looking out into the distance beneath the thick mist, the 1,000-year-old ancient village of Masouleh appears dreamlike, like a marvel carved directly into the sheer cliff of the mountain. This is an extraordinary village with a unique stepped architecture. 2-story wooden houses with wide oak balconies, called talar, are stacked cleverly and ingeniously along the slope of the forest mountain. In Masouleh, human living spaces blend together miraculously. The thatched roof of one person's home serves as the courtyard or walkway for the person living above. This structural connection creates a profound sense of warmth, a shelter, and mutual embrace, as if the storms of the outside world could never touch the people here. From the rustic earthen chimneys on the dark brown thatched roofs, ribbons of blue wood smoke drift gently into the air, intertwining with the mountain mist. The smoke carries the flavor of a peaceful evening, the scent of burning dry firewood, and the warmth of togetherness beneath each wooden roof. Seen from afar, the terraced houses emerge under the faint yellow lights that are beginning to ignite, looking like golden embers glowing in the fog, like giant fireflies asleep on the cliffside. The space is simultaneously grand and intimate, safe beyond measure. The darkness grows deeper by the moment, yielding to the supreme silence of the night as it gradually claims the highlands. All movement of the day stops, giving way to a state of total rest. You feel the sturdiness of the mountains beneath you, the vastness of the twilight sky above, and the tenderness of the surrounding mist. Every element of this space, from the tea hills, the wooden roofs, the chimneys, to the blue fog, is preparing to enter the main story, where a shepherd and a weaving girl await beneath a warm porch, ready to share with you the absolute leisure of their souls. You feel yourself a part of this space, completely enveloped, completely reassured, and ready to float down the peaceful current of the story. At a height where the clouds could touch the palm of his hand, Kian stood still upon a moss-covered boulder. He was a native Gilan shepherd, possessing the stature of the mountains and forests, clad in a simple earth-gray shirt, cinched with a wide fabric sash around his waist, the enduring symbol of the men who bound their lives to the highlands. Around him, a flock of over 100 sheep with thick, soft wool like small clouds slowly bowed their heads to graze on the last blades of grass. Kian's way of closing a long day always began with an ancient habit of his ancestors, guiding the sheep back to their pen and raising his Nachupan flute to his lips. The shepherd's flute played not to hasten, but to soothe. The sound of the neigh, crafted from aged bamboo, was warm and resonant, echoing through the valley like a whisper, calling the sunset to fall, inviting the quiet darkness to shelter all creation. Clang, clang. The bronze bells around the sheep's necks chimed regularly, moving slowly with each leisurely step down the mountain slope. That rhythm was like an hourglass of sound, each chime making the surrounding space a little darker, softening its tones, yielding to the supreme quiet of the night. Kian gently caressed the smallest lamb walking beside him, his eyes gazing toward the distant valley. There, the 1,000-year-old ancient village of Masouleh appeared dreamlike beneath the heavy mist. The unique stepped architecture of the village made it look like a wonder carved into the cliff face. 2-story wooden houses with wide balconies, known as talar, were stacked cleverly upon one another. In Masouleh, the roof of one house served as the courtyard or walkway for the house above. From the clay chimneys atop the dark brown thatched roofs, thin trails of blue smoke drifted out, carrying the warm essence of a peaceful evening. Kian watched his long shadow silhouetted against the sky, which had turned a deep purple. In his heart, a feeling of total freedom and absolute surrender expanded. As the sheep prepared to settle and the flute began to sing, he knew he was no longer burdened by anything of the world outside. There was only him, the highlands, the mist, and a silhouette waiting for him beneath the wooden roof ahead. Kian's footsteps stopped before a house with a wide balcony facing directly out toward the Tea Valley. On the small courtyard, which was actually the roof of the neighbor below, a girl sat leisurely at her loom. It was Anahita. Anahita was a Galaki girl possessing a gentle beauty, like a wild flower blooming beside a stream. Today, she wore a light-colored blouse paired with a dark vest embroidered with tiny flowers of silk thread. Her head was covered by a light cotton scarf that fluttered whenever a mountain breeze swept past. But what always made Kian pause in silent admiration was the festive Gilaki dress she was weaving on her lap. It was a wide, flared skirt, thickly pleated. Against the dark fabric, Anahita expertly stitched vibrant ribbons across the hem. The crimson of the sunset, the yellow of saffron stamens, the turquoise of the Caspian Sea. The bands of color interwove, rippling like a bright rainbow appearing after a fine drizzle. Hearing the familiar footsteps and the bells growing sparse before falling silent outside the pen, Anahita lifted her head, her smile outshining the evening mist. She gently pulled back her headscarf, her voice as clear as the small stream running around the village. "You are back, Kian? Did the flock wander far today?" Kian stepped onto the wooden porch, unfastened the fabric sash from his waist, placed his Nechupan flute on a small shelf, and sat down upon the rustic Persian rug laid out on the balcony. He looked at her with eyes full of deep trust. "They only loitered around the egg-lit valley, Anahita. The grass there is soft and steeped in water. When they hear the flute, they know the way back on their own, without me ever needing a crook." Anahita moved her hands away from the rainbow ribbons and stood up, walking to the corner of the balcony where a small charcoal brazier glowed with fire. Upon the stove, an ancient copper kettle hummed with small, steady, rhythmic gurgles. Following the leisurely tea traditions of the Galaki people, Anahita took 2 small, narrow-waisted glass cups called estakan. Into each cup, she dropped a rock sugar crystal infused with golden yellow saffron, then gracefully poured the fragrant black tea from a height. The aroma bloomed instantly, enveloping the small space of the balcony. It was a magical scent. The slight, refined bitterness of black tea dried on a copper tray, blending with the warm, luxurious, and relaxing scent of saffron mixed with the rich smoke of dry firewood. She handed Kian a cup of tea, their fingers brushing lightly, transferring warmth amidst the chill of the mountain mist. Kian received the hot glass cup, pressing his palms against it to feel the comforting heat spread into his skin. He took a slow sip, letting the sweet clarity of the rock sugar and the aroma of saffron warm him from his throat down to his chest. He exhaled a long breath, feeling all the fatigue of the long day dissolve, along with the steam of the tea. The Rasht Bazaar must have been very lively today, wasn't it? Kian asked, his voice low and deep, blending with the rustling wind. I see you bought many new ribbons for your dress. Anahita sat down beside him, cradling her teacup with both hands, her eyes gazing into the hazy space before them. It was very crowded, my love. People brought so many goods. I exchanged a basket of walnuts for these silk ribbons. The elders at the market said that Galaki women wear skirts with rainbow ribbons to remind themselves that no matter how many days it rains, the earth will ultimately be bountiful and the sky will bloom again. They sat like that, drinking tea slowly, basking in the unique native mindset of the people of Gilan, absolute leisure. Being content with what they have under their own roof, without haste, without worry. Yet, the peace of the highlands always contains the unexpected breaths of nature. As the second cup of tea drained, the surrounding space suddenly grew strangely silent. The night birds singing in the ash trees abruptly stopped. The mountain wind ceased blowing, leaving behind a thick expanse of fog. From the high peaks, a dense bank of black clouds began to descend, swallowing the stars that had just begun to glimmer in the deep purple sky. A drizzle characteristic of the humid subtropics was approaching, but this time, it brought the distant, rolling thunder echoing back from the Caspian Sea. The first drops began to fall on the distant tea hills, creating a steady, rhythmic pitter-patter against the leaves. Kian stood up quickly, his eyes showing a touch of anxiety as he looked toward the sheep pen. Hearing the thunder, the flock began to grow restless. The bronze bells chimed again, clang, clang, but with a hurried, frightened rhythm. The lead sheep tried to press its head into the gap of the wooden door, while the smaller lambs let out plaintive cries in the cold mist. This rain is heavier than usual, Kian said, his voice a bit faster, but still maintaining the composure of an experienced shepherd. The back door of the pen hasn't been reinforced. Strong winds could flip the thatched roof. I must go out there. Anahita caught his sleeve. Her eyes reflected the flickering glow of the charcoal fire, devoid of panic, containing only deep understanding and shared purpose. She knew that to a shepherd, the sheep were not just property, but friends, the soul of his journeys. She nodded gently. I am coming with you. 2 people will be faster. Anahita quickly threw a thick woven wool shawl over her shoulders and stepped out into the drizzle with Kian. The raindrops fell, touching the cotton scarf on her head, soaking the colorful ribbons on her flared skirt. The scene was somewhat chaotic as the wind began to blow harder. The mist wrapped tightly around their steps, and the thunder still rumbled behind the stone cliffs. Kian used his sturdy shoulders to push against the wooden pen door that was slamming in the wind, while Anahita stepped gently inside. She used no crook, no shouting. She knelt upon the warm, dry straw, opening her arms wide to welcome the shivering young lamb. She caressed its soft wool, leaned close to its ear, and whispered in the gentle language of the Gilan people. She sang an ancient lullaby that mothers sing beside cradles, the rhythm of the song slow, merging with the rain falling on the thatched roof. Outside, Kian quickly used large oak beams and ropes woven from tree bark to reinforce the shaking thatched roof. Each of his movements was decisive and strong, yet extremely careful not to make loud noises that would frighten the livestock. He tied the final knot to the sturdy stone pillar anchored deep into the ground. Inside the pen, comforted by the warmth and Anahita's lullaby, the flock gradually calmed down. They began to lie down, huddling together on the dry straw, fragrant with sweet grass. The bronze bells, clang, clang, grew sparser, and then fell completely silent. When Kian stepped into the pen, he saw Anahita leaning back against a large pile of straw, the young lamb fast asleep in her lap. Under the dim light of the hurricane lamp hanging from the rafter, the ribbons on her dress glistened with raindrops, looking like a real rainbow shining in the dark, damp night. He walked over and sat down beside her, his broad shoulders shielding her from the raindrops drifting through the cracks of the door. They looked at each other without needing a single word. Only a peaceful smile and total understanding evident in their eyes. The drama of the mountain storm had passed, yielding to a feeling of absolute fulfillment, warmth, and protection. The drizzle outside did not stop, but it had turned into a gentle, murmuring melody, like an endless lullaby from Mother Nature. The tiny raindrops softly fell onto the thatched roof of the wooden house, a steady, rhythmic pitter-patter, like the breathing of the earth drinking the wholesome waters. Kian and Anahita returned to the balcony of their wooden home. The charcoal brazier had been covered, leaving only glowing embers that radiated a gentle warmth to banish the chill of the night. By now, the surrounding space was completely enveloped by darkness and mist. The lights of Masouleh village had been turned off one by one, leaving only faint yellow spots fading in the fog, like giant fireflies asleep on the cliffside. Anahita sat cross-legged on the Persian rug, reaching out to take the four-stringed setar that sat in the corner of the room. The setar, an ancient instrument of Iran, featured a pear-shaped body made of mulberry wood and slender metal strings. She placed the instrument on her lap, her long, slender fingers lightly touching the strings. Tack, tarung, tack. The sound of the setar arose, incredibly delicate, soothing, and slow. She did not play a fast-tempo piece, but merely plucked each note one by one, letting them linger, allowing the sound to resonate and then dissolve into the mist outside the balcony. The voice of the sitar was like a stream of cool water flowing through the listener's mind, washing away the final agitations of the day. Kian sat beside her, raising the Chupon flute to his lips once more. The vertical flute blended with the setar, creating a duet of absolute surrender. The sound of the ney was warm, solitary, yet extraordinarily gentle, echoing through the misty valley, drawing the space into a state of deep hypnosis. "Anahita," Kian called softly, when the flute fell silent, his voice merging with the sound of the rain. "Do you hear the hills sleeping?" Anahita smiled, resting her head against his shoulder, her eyes gently closing, feeling the steady heartbeat from the sturdy chest of the shepherd. "I hear it. The whole valley, the flock, and even the ribbons on my dress, everything is falling asleep. Tonight will be a very peaceful night, Kian." "Yes, a very peaceful night," Kian whispered. He wrapped his arm around her soft shoulders, pulling the hand-woven wool blanket over both their legs. The space grew darker and quieter with each passing moment. The sitar music grew sparser, softer, the pauses between notes lengthening like deep breaths. The ney flute also drifted further and further away until it completely vanished into the void. Now, on the Gilan highlands, there were no burdens of the modern world, no anxieties of a fast-paced life. There was only the gentle drizzle falling on the thatched roof, the warm scent of saffron lingering in the air, and the soft, steady breathing of the lovers alongside all creation in the quiet night. They had found the most peaceful haven of their lives, nesting together beneath the 1,000-year-old wooden roof, slowly sinking into a deep sleep filled with vibrant cultural colors, fulfilled and complete. The story of the shepherd Kian and the girl Anahita amidst the mists of Gilan is not merely a gentle lullaby to guide us to sleep, but also carries a profound human philosophy about love and life. True happiness does not lie in the haste or the glamour of the modern world, but is found in the leisure of the soul, the ability to be content with the present and the deep understanding and harmony between two hearts. Just like the architecture of the ancient village of Masouleh, where the roof of one person is the courtyard of another, human love and life always require leaning upon one another, offering shelter and tolerance before the storms of life. When we know how to let go of unnecessary burdens, placing our trust in nature and our companion, we will always find a peaceful, fulfilled, and colorful haven after every rain. As the gentle reflections of the story sink deep into your mind, the boundary between the real world and the enchanted space of the Gilan highlands begins to blur. Your consciousness now is like a small boat, gently releasing its oars to drift freely upon the river of reverie. Every image, every sound that once appeared vividly in the story of the shepherd Kian and Anahita is now slowly softening, fading, and blending together, drawing you closer to the threshold of a deep, serene sleep. Feel the space around you at this moment. Darkness has completely claimed and mastered the vast highlands. The emerald green hills in the valley have now dissolved into the quiet night, remaining only as soft, hazy contours beneath the thick mist. The 1,000-year-old ancient village of Masouleh, is also rhythmically breathing its final peaceful breaths before falling asleep. The lights from the two-story wooden houses with wide balconies, stacked like steps carved into the cliffside, have now been extinguished one by one. The warm yellow glow from before is now just faint, isolated spots of light yielding weakly to the dense fog. They are no longer bright, but soft, like giant fireflies, asleep on the mountain cliffs, protecting the sleep of human beings who live relying upon one another beneath the pensive thatched roofs. Every movement of humans and nature has stopped. There are no more leisurely footsteps of the flock returning to the pen, no more rushing turbulence from the afternoon rainstorm. The drama of the mountain storm has entirely passed, leaving behind a space filled with absolute protection and safety. The sturdy oak beams and the ropes woven from bark that Kian used to reinforce the pen door have fulfilled their mission. The flock of over 100 sheep, with thick, soft wool like small clouds, is now completely calm, lying huddled together on the dry straw fragrant with the scent of sweet grass. The wooden pen is incredibly peaceful. The bronze bells that chimed clang, clang in a hurried rhythm earlier have grown scarcer, and then fallen completely silent. The distance between the chimes stretches out, vast as the spaces within your mind, until the sound vanishes entirely into the night, leaving no trace behind. The characteristic subtropical drizzle outside continues to fall, but it has completely shed its torrential nature to become a gentle, murmuring melody, like an endless lullaby from great nature. The tiny, soft raindrops, like silk threads gliding through the air, fall upon the thatched roof of the wooden house, creating a steady, rhythmic pitter-patter. That sound of rain does not awaken the space. Rather, like an hourglass of sound, each drop makes the surroundings a bit darker, a bit quieter, washing away the final agitations of a long day. The rain brushes against the fresh, fragrant tea leaves, soaking into the rustic, damp earth, blending into the mountain wind, whispering softly through the ancient pines to create a symphony of absolute surrender. On the balcony of the wooden house, the charcoal brazier that once glowed with fire has been carefully covered under a thin layer of gray ash. There are no more flickering flames, only glowing embers radiating a gentle warmth, just enough to banish the chill of the mountain mist near the Caspian Sea, just enough to warm the two souls nesting together under the ancient roof. The fragrance of the black tea infused with golden saffron still lingers softly in the air. It is a magical scent, a blend of the slight bitterness of tea dried on a copper tray, the warm luxury of saffron, and the rich smoke of dry wood. That scent is now thinning out, becoming mild and delicate, intertwining with the mist outside the balcony, bringing a feeling of absolute relaxation and comfort to your senses. The sounds of ancient music are also fading away. Anahita has placed the 4-stringed mulberry wood sitar down upon the rustic Persian rug. The delicate, soothing, leisurely notes of tach, terung, tach have ceased to resonate. Kian's warm, solitary, yet extraordinarily gentle bamboo Nachupan flute has also drifted further and further away with the wind sweeping through the valley. The pauses between the notes lengthen like deep breaths until both the strings and the flute dissolve completely into the void, yielding to the supreme silence of the night. All the images from the festive Gilaki dress with its rainbow ribbons woven on the lap, Anahita's smile that outshone the evening mist, to the sturdy shoulders of the shepherd Kian are blurring, turning into soft, floating colors within your mind. You no longer need to think, no longer need to remember any detail. All boundaries have been erased. You are dissolving into the peaceful space of the Gilan highlands, completely sheltered, completely safe, and preparing to sink deep into the absolute stillness of sleep. Now, all boundaries of space and time have completely vanished. There is no longer any concept of the busy world outside, nor any burden of a rushing modern life. Your consciousness at this moment has entirely merged into the supreme silence of the night upon the Gilan highlands. The space surrounding your familiar bed is now nothing but a realm of absolute peace, where you are protected, supported, and sheltered in the most relaxing, fulfilled, and complete state. Let yourself surrender entirely to each regular, steady breath. The entire emerald green tea valley, the 1,000-year-old ancient village of Masouleh, with its sturdy, terraced, thatched roofs, everything has sunk deep into a very peaceful sleep. Beneath the ancient wooden roof, Kian and Anahita have snuggled together, covered by the warm, hand-woven wool blanket, their eyes softly closed. The festive Gilaki dress with its colorful rainbow ribbons, the young lamb fast asleep on the dry straw, the ancient copper kettle beside the faded charcoal brazier, all of these images are now just a faint, soft, blurred silhouette, drifting far away into your subconscious. There is nothing left to follow, nothing left to listen to. Only a deep and profound stillness remains. The drizzle softly falling on the thatched roof outside has now turned into an incredibly faint, murmuring sound, as steady as the heartbeat of the great forest. That gentle pitter-patter no longer calls for your attention. Instead, it is perfectly synchronizing with your own slow, deep breathing. Each exhalation is a step deeper, deeper still into the comfort of your bed. Your body feels light as a cloud, floating amidst the deep blue mist, free, weightless. The warm, luxurious scent of saffron and the clean essence of black tea, steeped in the rich aroma of dry firewood, have now dissolved completely into the night air, leaving only a trace of an invisible, floating fragrance caressing your nervous system, bringing a feeling of ultimate fulfillment and leisure. The warm ney flute and the 4-stringed setar have been completely silent for a long time, yielding to the absolute silence of the night's embrace. You are standing at the most peaceful haven of your soul, where all the storms of life must stop outside the door. You are completely safe. You are completely sheltered. Let yourself drift endlessly into the world of peaceful dreams. Tonight will be a very serene night, a night filled with relaxation and the restoration of your most primal energy. Let this deep sleep embrace you, soothing every cell, bringing the most complete peace to your mind. And then, when the dawn of a new day awakens, when the deep blue mists on the Alborz peaks dissolve to make way for the fresh morning sunlight, you will wake up with a body full of vitality, a refreshed spirit, and a heart brimming with joy. When you wake up tomorrow morning, if you feel your body miraculously restored after this peaceful journey, please return to the video, leaving a comment to share your feelings with me and our community of sleep lovers. Your warm messages will be a great motivation for the channel to continue creating even more wonderful, relaxing spaces. But that is tomorrow's story. For now, this space belongs only to you. Let go completely. Drift into the silence. Good night. Sleep well. Sleep deep.